Hi, welcome to Hospitality Live with Rupesh. Each week, we feature an industry leader that will share the latest trends and the best strategies to help you grow. Now, welcome your host, Rupesh Patel.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. Guys, welcome to episode number 55. This episode is let me just repeat the title actually, or let me talk about the title. All right, so the show title is Road to Recovery, 5 Essential Ways to Become a Better Speaker and Presenter. Guys, comment and let us know where you're watching from, where you're listening from. If some people are listening in their cars, I've heard that. People are like, oh, I'm messaging, or I'm listening to you from my car as I drive to work, or as I'm traveling from one place to another, or I'm in my office trying to tell my kids to quiet down while they're doing school, and I'm trying to listen to your show. So guys, comment and let us know where you're watching from. And I am giving away a $50 Amazon gift card before the end of the episode. So guys, the most engaging person will win a $50 gift card to Amazon. All right, so this week's episode, we're talking about how to become a better speaker. And this is not natural to me. And I'm not the perfect speaker, but you know what? I put myself out there. And that's like the biggest mindset that I've kind of overcome these past few years, where a few years ago I was sweating and saying, oh my God, I can't believe I'm speaking in front of like 500 people, 1,000 people, or a couple thousand people, or even 2 people. And we're going to get into these concepts on how to kind of reduce your anxiety, your frustration, your stress when you're asked to speak or present. And guys, this could be any part of your life, not just for business, not just for your hotel. You could take these concepts and add them or include them in anything. And I would say you could do staff training, meetings. You could be invited to a convention and speak. You could be doing what our featured guest is going to be doing. There's a lot of opportunity out there right now. And guess what? You could start by just inspiring one person, and we're going to get right into it. So either you're doing a staff training, or guess what? Like my family, a couple of weeks ago, I went to a funeral. You could be speaking at a funeral and you're nervous, right? And so some of these concepts are going to help you overcome that fear, and you're going to discover tips on how to make yourself sound like a professional, right? Learn how to ace your next presentation, and then how to fight that fear. So guys, stay tuned and let's see where people are watching from. Let's see where you're commenting. We are, all right, so I have Hyderabad, India. Good morning. Good morning, Laura. Good morning, Raj. Ohio. Maryland, Suresh, good morning. Christopher, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, New York, Washington, D.C., Omaha, Nebraska, Cleveland, India, Daytona Beach, Florida, yay, Columbus, Ohio, Atlanta. Guys, good morning. Let us know where you're watching from. And if you've ever been nervous speaking in front of anybody, comment and let me know how you overcome it. Or if you've ever just like been frightened the entire time. I've been sweating. My entire back has been sweating when I made a few presentations a few years ago in front of a large audience, and I think I wasn't ready for it. And so this episode is going to help all of us, including myself, because I still get nervous. All right, so we have Philippines, Florida, New York City. Oh my God, Dubai, again from Dubai, Nigeria, Ireland. I love this, guys. People from all over the world. Guys, welcome to the show. Welcome to episode number 55. And this is going to help us all. This episode is definitely going to help all of us. And this episode is brought to you by, let me pull up my sponsor, guys. You have to click on this button down here. And let me just post it real quick so we have it in the chat. Let's see. Can somebody post this? spurwork.com/hospitality live right now in the comments, because without these guys, I would not be doing the show, because it costs us money, costs us time, and definitely some energy to do the show. So somebody go ahead and post this link in the episode. And this week's sponsor is sponsored by Spur. Guys, you have to check out Spur. They're the hottest thing right now when we're talking about payroll. We're talking about saving money for your hotel, which we all need. And this week's episode is brought to you by Spur. Spur is a low-cost, all-in-one HR, payroll, and benefits software designed for the hospitality industry. It automates costly and time-consuming back-office tasks, including onboarding, which is always tough when you're dealing with paperwork and faxing, scheduling, where you know your team has to be on time and where they need to be, and then timekeeping, like you need to know where the time is for every employee. And this can all be done online through their amazing app, and your entire team's on this app. So it's not just, the GM, but everybody. So guys, thank you so much. Yeah, I see the comments. Somebody click on this link, and just to get some more information and bookmarking, because of them, we're getting to keep the show going. They also do payroll, benefits administration, and so much more. It's an affordable way that you can maintain your hotel right now, save some money, and it's really, really affordable. I'm telling you, you click on, you'll understand more about what they do. Go to spurwork.com/hospitality live. Guys, thank you so much to Spur for sponsoring this episode. And I think they're sponsoring some more episodes. So thank you so much for keeping us going, keeping me going, and keeping all of us going, really. All right, so this week's episode, and I talk about mindset every single week. And this week I posted, if you're not happy for other people's success, guess what? You'll never be happy for your own success. Do you believe that's true? I do. And a lot of that starts with you, right? If you're not happy for somebody else because they've done this, or they've got this job, or they're doing great in their life right now while you might be struggling, and you kind of are jealous, you're not happy for yourself, and you're not happy for them, you're not happy for their accomplishments, it's hurting you, right? So let me know in the comments if you believe the same. If you're not happy for other people's success, you'll never be happy for your own, right? And that's a super mindset that I've had to come and kind of focus in my life, and especially right now when all my other friends are in another industry are doing well, and we're hurting here. I should be jealous. I should be hating them right now, but I've really cut all that out of my life. And that's the mindset this week, that hey, we need to be happy for other people. Then we can be happy for ourselves. Comment if you believe that is true. Comment if you've kind of had to focus on that in your life. And I definitely think that's true. And all right, so next is the Hospitality Minute with my buddy Sarah Dandashy. I got it right. Every week she's going to come on the show and talk about hospitality, travel, news updates, and here we go.
Hi, I'm Sarah Dandashy from Ask a Concierge. Every week, I'll be sharing the latest hospitality and travel news and updates in a segment we like to call Hospitality Minutes.
Hey, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi.
What's going on in hospitality right now? I know you're not in Cali, you're not in LA, you are where? Where are you?
Oh.
Can you hear me? I think we might have lost her. She's actually in Pennsylvania right now with her staying at family member's house. And Sarah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. So what's going on? What's going on in hospitality this week? What's happening in the news?
Okay, cool. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me join you for this Hospitality Minute. We are seeing a lot of different trends happen, and go figure, the whole travel and hospitality industry has been turned upside down. So of course, new trends are going to emerge. One of them is stretch season. So basically, stretch season is where summer travel stretches into fall. So in a recent MMGY travel intelligence study, 64% of travelers still expect to take a leisure trip yet this year, at least within the next 6 months, which is not terribly surprising, since about 1 in every 3 travelers chose to postpone their trip at the start of the pandemic. And also, with so many people working remotely, you also have people doing virtual classes and homeschooling, and even business trips being canceled. We're seeing that more people than usual are taking trips right about now. So it might not be enough to completely shift the industry, but we're definitely seeing a bit of a trend towards that. Speaking of trends, another trend that we're seeing is the work and learn from paradise, where hotels are promoting travelers to opt for an extended stay. Earlier this summer, we saw Playa Hotels and Resorts in the Dominican Republic launch their work and learn from paradise program. And it's been so popular that a lot of other hotels have actually started to offer the same thing. Basically, what they would do is they'd offer to stay for 14 days and you'd be upgraded to a suite. And of course, Wi-Fi was paramount. And then another thing, the U.S. Travel Association, this is huge. They actually launched a new campaign dubbed Let's Go There, which is designed to get Americans excited about planning their next vacation. And the campaign is really aimed to tell travelers, when it's time for you, will be ready, which I think all of us in the hospitality and travel industry can certainly agree with.
I definitely agree. I think that's super important. What else is going on right now? I see that you're in Pennsylvania. You're not in California. Where are you right now?
I'm in Allentown, Pennsylvania, coming to you live from my grandparents' little office area. So we've got some lovely little brochures in the back here if you want to go on a road trip, which are still very popular, by the way.
Absolutely. Sarah, thank you so much for any last words. Where can people find you?
Oh, you guys can find me online, askaconcierge.tv, or you can also find me online on Instagram or any of the social media handles at Ask a Concierge.
Absolutely, Sarah. Listen, guys, Sarah has a huge following on Instagram. Please follow her and please connect over there here on LinkedIn and on Instagram. She has some amazing content and she travels the world getting to see and experience firsthand hotels and what's going on. And you just flew to Pennsylvania. How was the flight?
The flight was great, actually. It was pretty good because this was obviously a domestic flight from California to Pennsylvania. And I'm kind of in the middle of, I don't want to say nowhere, but I had to do a layover in Detroit. And I have to say, as far as airports go, airports are about 25% of their usual foot traffic. I flew Delta. I really have to say a big shout out, kudos to Delta because they're blocking the middle rows or middle seats. And especially unless you're traveling together as well, too. So they've really done a great job to make sure that you feel comfortable. And honestly, you wear your mask the whole time. You do what you need to do, and it's they've done a great job. So kudos and shout out to them.
Well, shout out to you guys. Hit up Sarah on her Instagram and here on LinkedIn. Sarah, I'll see you next week.
Definitely.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. All right, guys. So on with the show. Thank you so much, guys. Every week, Sarah is going to be on talking about something in hospitality, talking about what's going on with our brands, with travel, with our growth and getting back to recovery, back to where we were. So everybody hit up Sarah there. Thank you. All right, so our main feature topic, and I love this guy. I've been connected with him for quite some time now, and let me really do a great intro for him. Have you ever been nervous speaking in front of anybody, an audience, a small audience or a large audience? I have. I've been sweating and I'm like, terrified of speaking in front of anybody, and I got over a lot of these things. We're going to talk about these things, guys. Our featured guest is he's spoken in front of thousands of people. He might have even spoken in front of your hotel conference at the national convention. He's a professional speaker and an author. I want to welcome to the show my friend Jones Loflin.
Rupesh, oh, what an honor. I tell you, I almost feel like I need to take a nap. There's so much energy you have flowing out to your audience right now. I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, how exciting. And thank you for demonstrating one of the greatest skills in making a presentation is believing in what you're talking about and bringing it with energy. It's phenomenal.
Yes, listen, I had to learn this so anybody can learn. If I can learn it, guess what? You can learn it too. And I love that we're sharing these tips. Jones, tell us a little bit about yourself, especially for those that don't know him, and please connect with him right here on LinkedIn.
Sure, thanks. No, I've been a professional speaker and trainer for 25, going on 26 years now. Primary space is in the area of productivity, time management, work-life balance. Work with a lot of hotel managers and hotel management groups on helping their people figure out where does my time need to be invested to get the best return on investment for that property and for themselves. That's who I am.
Yeah. So we met, where did we meet? Face to face, because we've been connected online, and I think we first saw each other maybe at a choice conference or something.
Oh, can I jump in here? I think the first time I met you, you were riding a hoverboard in Las Vegas in the hotel conference center. And I'm like, who is this crazy guy? It was you, I think.
This actually helped me overcome my fear of public speaking and being out there in the public. I was like, you know what? I just have to do this. So years back, 5 years ago, when the hoverboards were out, actually, they weren't even out in the United States. And I started this company, this side hustle company, where we sold hoverboards and nobody knew about it. So I could travel all over the United States because I used to travel like every 2-3 weeks doing, I was on a board and all these things. And yeah, I brought it to a conference. I brought it, I think, to the Mandalay Bay, and I rode it the entire hotel, the entire conference floor. And people are like, who is this crazy guy? And yes, I was that crazy guy. So I think that's where we first met. But since then, we've really connected, and I've been following all the amazing things that you've done. You've inspired a lot of people, and hopefully this show inspires more people. So what's your number one tip when we're talking about getting over the fear of, I have to do a presentation now for my staff or
Yeah.
the management company or a group of people, and I don't know where to talk about, or I don't know what to say?
Yeah.
What happened?
First and foremost is, and I talk about, you got to know the audience. You got to know the participants better than they know themselves. One of our biggest fears is, okay, I don't have anything to say to them, and I don't know what I could say to them of value. Well, guess how you can figure out? Ask yourself, ask others. In fact, Rupesh, I've got a resource for all your listeners today. If they'll just reach out to me on LinkedIn, I've got all these questions, or some of these questions I'm about to say. But, what does a day in the life look like for them? Really putting yourself into their world. What's a problem they'd like help solving? What keeps them up at night? All those are such important questions that we have to ask, so we know how to present content to them. What's going on in their world right now? What's positive, what's negative? Those are really key questions, so that you can begin to know who they are. When I'm getting ready to make a presentation to a group, especially, or even if I think I do know them, I'll say, hey, I'd love to talk to 2 participants who are going to be in the audience. And could I just, have a conversation with them? And, if you're a hotel manager and you've got to, speak to the whole management group, or maybe it's reaching out to 2 or 3 of them and just saying, hey, what is going on in your world right now? What's front of mind for you? Because then when you begin developing that presentation and you're saying things that are going on in their world, and they're going, wow, he or she knows me. They know what I'm going through. And then they're much more willing to listen to what you have to say, because you've done your homework.
Oh, I love that. And you built rapport because you reached out to them prior to the meeting or conference or speech, and you said, listen, I want to make sure that you're involved in the process, so they have some buy-in too. I love that.
Yeah. And even when you're speaking to a group, or any group, that is having that conversation, those informal conversations prior to getting, on the stage or in front of the group, is so key. Because you talk about nervousness. One of the things that helps me with nerves more than anything is having that informal conversation with them. Hey, how's it going today? What's front? Even asking some of those questions that I just mentioned. What's front of mind for you right now as a hotel manager? Or what's front of mind for you as a small business owner? What are you thinking about? What problem could I help you solve, or give you an idea about? And it's amazing how when you say that, they start warming up, like, okay, this guy doesn't think he's the center of the universe. He's genuinely here to help me. And then your audience becomes your biggest advocate and your ally. Instead of you against them, they're out there literally cheering for you to do a good job.
Oh, I love that. Yes. And then that breaks up the confusion in your head when you're like, what should I talk about? Because there's days that the management company, your boss, I don't like to call them boss, but your leader says, hey, can you present something at our next meeting, or at our quarterly meeting, or our monthly meeting? Can you present something? You're like, I don't have anything to say. Well, no, you have 100,000 things you could say. You're running a hotel, right? And I love that we could bring some of our experience and talk about it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Experiences are so important. And that's what you do have. And then if you can align those experiences with what it is they want you to talk about, and asking good questions when somebody says they want you to make a prediction. What are the outcomes you want? What do you want people to be able to do differently because of what I say? Or, and in having that information in front of you then gives you the opportunity to build out that presentation. Okay, this story would fit here. This experience would fit best here. It just helps a whole lot with that planning process and what you're going to say.
Right. And what are you passionate about? I feel like is what you're going to be most comfortable talking about, right? So don't just make up stuff that you think the audience likes, but you're not interested in it, because then it doesn't show that you're authentic about it. And then people can see past you. Has that ever happened to you? It's happened to me where I just made up stuff, and then they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I've been on podcasts or other shows where I've had, I'm co-hosting or being on with somebody else, and they don't know or I don't know, and I'm like, oh, that was embarrassing.
I got to testify that. Yeah, I spoke to a construction group. Gosh, it's probably been 10, 15 years ago. And I was there to talk about productivity and different things like that. And what was fascinating was after the conference, they sent me the evaluations. And I'll never forget, you always remember the really specific feedback. One guy said, he doesn't know my world. Oh, and I was crushed. I thought, here I was giving you all this great information, but it wasn't connected to your world. I was passionate about it, but you didn't see how you could benefit from that information. So I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't do my homework in that moment. So you're right, is being passionate, having something to share, and how do I connect it with that other person? In fact, there's a strategy I teach. I teach it to everybody from sales to presenters and all that. It's called ABC. It's ask questions. Ask questions about your audience. What are they expecting? Okay. Then build bridges. That's the B. Okay. Build bridges from your ideas to where they are. And then C is, capture a commitment. What do you want them to do differently? What do you expect of them? But it's a strategy I've taught since the 90s, back when I had hair, about, ask questions of your audience, what's going on, build bridges between you, what you're passionate about, what you just said, and what's going on in their world. And then C, capture a commitment from them, engage them, challenge them to do something different so that they don't just leave that presentation going, yeah, that was good stuff, but oh, wow, here's my 3 ways or 4 ways to improve.
I like that. I wrote these down. So ABC, simple as ABC, Jones.
Yes, if only it was that easy. But for that particular part, yes, ABC works.
All right. So really quickly, Jones, before we continue, we have 4 more now. Okay. 4 more tips. Now we're giving away before the end of the show. I'm not sure if you're reading the comments. I'm reading and listening to what you're saying. Is we're giving away $50 Amazon gift card before the end of the show. So the most engaging person here on this live show is going to win that $50 gift card. So guys, comment, let us know. Have you ever been nervous in front of speaking in front of an audience? It could be 1 person or 100. And I was nervous starting out speaking in front of my kids. I was talking about something, and I was like, all right, you guys sit down in front of me, and I'll present this thing that I wrote down. And I was nervous just doing that. So it start small. Don't start big. Is that a good tip?
Yes, absolutely. No question. So,
do you start in the mirror? Do you start in front of a mirror?
Well, yeah, you start. Well, the thing about it is if you're doing virtual, you can start with your laptop or your device in front of you, and you can actually see, how do you look? Okay, where is it looking? And that really, let's tie that into that second point of mine, which is, I think it's really critical. Make it easy for your audience to listen to you. And when I say that, it's everything from visual to audio to all those kinds of things. One of the things that I'll never forget, when I was in college years ago, we had a presenter who was a florist. They were a flower arranger. And they came to speak to us about small business. And one of their things they were going to do was make a flower arrangement in front of us. And she stopped before she really got into it. She goes, you notice anything about the way I'm dressed? And of course, we're all looking, going, nah. And she goes, how about my colors? And I'm like, well, you're wearing black and white. It's pretty bland. I mean, I was kind of, a jerk back then, like I am now. And she goes, exactly, because I want the focus to be on the flowers, not on me. You want your focus on the words you're saying, not on you as a person. So, it's really critical that you ask yourself, is there anything going on with me or my surroundings that could be distracting to someone? We've all been on the Zoom meeting where somebody's making a presentation. They've got 50 million things behind them, or their dog runs past, or, something like that. And that's just, well, no, yours is great. It's very muted. I mean, it's very professional looking. But, it's just so easy to forget that, we want to be distracted. So anything that's created that might be distracting, we got to get rid of it. I love one of the comments somebody said about being nervous and sweating, and you even mentioned it. I had that problem for years and still do to a degree. And so what I'll do is I dress appropriately. If I am going into, an audience and the room's warm, and even if I've got a coat and tie or something on, I'll take my coat off first thing. And I'll even tell the audience, I'll say, I still get nervous. I've been doing this 25 years and I'll start sweating. So you don't want to see me sweating. So I'm going to take my coat off, and, make it easy for your audience to listen to you.
So break the ice, right?
Do I say again?
you're saying so it kind of looks like an icebreaker. Like you're telling them that you're nervous, so you kind of putting your authentic self out there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. You're putting your authentic self out there and you're making it easier for the audience to listen. Just like at the beginning of the presentation, I should have said, see, I got so excited, got caught up in your energy, Rupesh. But I'm offering, the 5 ideas. I'm offering a PDF that anybody can get. All they have to do is to connect with me on LinkedIn and say, hey, Jones, I want the PDF, so that they can focus on this presentation, our conversation, instead of going, okay, what was point number 3? Oh, he mentioned that question. What was that question? I can't remember.
Pencils down.
That's it. But it allows people to focus and listen to you. And I just think that's so critical right now because people can be so easily distracted. So yeah, make it easy for your audience to listen to you. Give them the instructions they need so they can fully focus on your words and not other things.
This is awesome. So Chad says he's more nervous when he's speaking virtually than he is in front of people. Why is that? Why does that happen to some people?
Yeah, I find that well, first of all, I'm always nervous about technology. Even though I'm hardwired, I've done all the things. And even you and I this morning, what was I having problem with? Didn't sound work. So I grabbed the headphones. I think one of the things that makes us nervous is that we're just afraid things aren't going to work out, the way we want them to with technology. I think a second reason is just because we're literally on camera. Most of us don't like to be on camera. We don't mind being in a group of people who are speaking, but man, put us on camera and it kind of makes us nervous. And again, I think it goes back to having conversations, virtual conversations with groups prior to your actual presenting. And then that helps lower your nervousness so that when you're actually getting into the formal presentation, it's a more natural transition. Even I'll say this, even asking a question, and we talk about this in a minute, asking a question of the group to get them talking first is always a way to help reduce the nervousness, because we all know once we get some discussion going or we get people kind of engaged in the content, we're like, okay, they don't hate me. They actually make me on this. It's just so important when we're starting out that presentation of any kind.
Yeah, I love that. So here's my tip. When I'm speaking in front of a group and I do kind of these workshops with hotels and hotel management companies, and their GMs will come on board and come into a room and we'll talk about something. I break the ice by saying, all right, I would like to know how many people have been working in the hotel industry for 30 years. Or I start with 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, and everyone raises their hands. You kind of break the ice and you're like, really? 20, 30 years? Awesome job, right? Everybody give them a round of applause. And that gets everybody built in. And that's always worked. So, and honestly, I do this with our staff too. So when we're having staff trainings or meetings, I say, all right, let's start with the new people. Who's been here for only 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, less than a month, less than 6 months. And then you start raising people, keep your hands up. And then, so everybody's engaged. And that was something that I learned as a technique, and it's worked every single time. So guys, that's my tip right there.
Oh, and can I just piggyback on that wonderful tip there,
Yeah.
Rupesh? You're exactly right. And see, what I love about what you did was you engaged them and you made it about them and not about you. You took so much pressure off of yourself. When I'm presenting sometimes, a question I'll often ask, if it's work-life balance related, I'll say, in your work to get it all done, what's not getting done? And then I'll go out in the audience. Okay, tell me something that's not getting, and everybody's, starts popping off the answers. I love what you did with the people who've been there in a hotel. I saw one presenter who kind of did something like that. And they said, okay, people who've been here less than 1 year, the people who've been here 30 years, I want to hear from one person who's been here 30 years. And somebody will raise their hand and say, okay, what advice do you have for the people who've been here for less than 1 year that would help them have a successful career? And that
awesome.
30-year person was honored because, wow, my wisdom's important to the group. And then you're looking like a rock star and you haven't even started presenting yet.
Yeah, then your nerves come down and you're like,
Yes.
oh, these guys like me.
Yeah. Because you're not trying to be the sage on stage, the guru. That's just so important. That used to be the way in the old days of speaking. Someone would come to the platform and impart great wisdom, and that's important. There are people who can do that. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not the smartest person in the room. I'm the person who hopefully can engage and connect people so we can find answers together. But I'm not the one who's going to say, do ABC and go forth and prosper. That's just not who I am.
Answers together. I'm writing this down. I like that a lot. All right. So what's the next tip you have? I love, guys, if you've loved these tips so far, hit the like button right now and then comment. Let us know what your favorite tip was so far. And guys, remember, we're giving away a $50 Amazon gift card before the end of the show. And Jones is going to help me pick this person.
Oh, then they won't like me, Rupesh. My goodness, gosh. All right, next tip. Next tip is the rule of 3. And this is one that you and I broke today, because when we talked about it, he said, oh, let's do 5. And I'm like, okay, in 40 minutes, sure. But you know, people have such difficulty retaining information these days. I don't care whether you're training your staff, whether you're talking with your child, whether you're talking with other hotels, you know, whoever you're presenting to, is try to keep your number of points to a minimum. And I just love the rule of 3, because I mean, we're conditioned, and we could go into all the research that, you know, if we can keep it down to 3 key ideas, then people tend to remember them. And to tell them at the beginning, you know, it gives them the ability to figure out where this information goes. But if I'm in a presentation and people say, well, today I'm going to talk about this, and they just kind of going along, I'm just like, okay, where are they going with all this? It's just really important. Keep it simple and keep your points down to 3. And then when you're done, you can actually ask the group, okay, what was point number 1? You know, what was my second idea? What was my third idea? And 90% of the time, they can tell you, because you made it easy for them. Going back to our other point, you made it easy for them to listen because you gave them a structure. I'll also do something sometimes with audience called mind mapping, where I'll actually, you know, have a flip chart out and I'll draw a circle in the middle, and that's the big idea. Our big idea today is, you know, work-life balance. And then I'll say, okay, point number 1 is, and then I'll, you know, do it. And so I'll draw some type of visual, or I'll have it on a screen some way, but to give people a way to hold on to that information and a way to use it later. If we just say, we're talking about 7 things or 10 things today, and we've got all this information on the slides, people get lost.
Listen, I like that you brought this up. And let's be honest. I said, Jones, can we talk about 10 things? Before, when we started talking about this episode, I said, Jones, let's talk about 10 things. I think 10 things always is like an eye catcher. And you said, no, let's talk about a few things. And I like that you did that, because, and I like that you were strong at this, because if we had 10 things, this show would go on for like 2 hours. And I'm sure we would have like one person listening, and probably my mom, somebody from my family's watching, and that's it. So I like that you say ABC, keep it simple.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just so, especially right now, and in virtual presentations, it's become even more critical that we give people the framework. Here's what we're going to be looking at today, and we're you know, finishing up. I mean, it's just so important these days, when people are so overloaded with information already, to give them a simple way to hold on and to apply the information that you're offering.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. What's the next one?
All right, number 4, we've done some of this already. See, we've got ahead of ourselves. It's embrace the power of questions and silence. We've talked about the power of questions already. I mean, you demonstrated that beautifully in the presentation you talked about. Questions are such an important part, because they cause people to begin to apply the information. For example, in my presentations where I talk about routines and habits, I'll sometimes say to a group, I'll say, you know, we've talked about routines and habits. What's a routine that would be beneficial in your world right now? And you just stop. And a lot of people say, well, it'd be silent. I don't know if they're listening or paying attention. Sure they are. Because if you've done a good job with these other things, they're thinking about, you know, what would be. And then you can say something, okay, I'd love for someone to share or to chat or to comment. Or if I'm in a face-to-face presentation, I want you to turn to somebody around you, because and I want you to tell them, what's a routine that you'd like to start that would be beneficial in your world? And then here's the beautiful part, Rupesh. When you do that, then they're talking to each other and they're sharing great ideas, and you're kind of standing back going, I might survive this.
let me get on to the next thing. Let me see if I can remember the next thing that's going on.
Yes, questions are so beneficial to give you a break. I mean, we think we've got to be the one talking all the time. No, give people the opportunity to talk and discuss, because then you do the report back, which is, okay, what's a routine that, some of you said or you heard that was really interesting? Somebody says the routine that they're going to start doing, and everybody in the room goes, oh, that's amazing. I say, yeah, isn't that great? And so you've made it about them and you've shown value to them. I have something I say I have a few things that I say at the beginning of every presentation if I'm face-to-face or virtual. And one of them is, the best answers today will not come from me. They will come from you, the audience, because you know your world better than anybody else. And so I think setting the stage for that and letting them know we want to leverage that wisdom that's in the room. And so I'm going to be asking lots of questions today and setting that up for people and creating that expectation. It just takes such pressure off of me, because I've just told them I'm not the smartest person in the room. I may be the smartest person on how to get us all to talk and work together, but I'm not the person who has all the answers. And Rupesh, if there's one thing I hope your audience takes away from that, is that anytime you're presenting, even if you're there as the expert, is to always know there are people in the room who probably have some better ideas or a better way of looking at things, and be excited about that. Because if you can make somebody in the audience look like the rock star they are, oh man, it's such a great feeling.
You created a fan also, right?
Yes, that's it. Because it's not about you. It's about, how can I serve you? How can I be of value to you? And being able to pull those answers out of audiences is so important.
Yeah. And I like that you say silence is golden, like the AMC, right? When you go into the movie theater, put your phone away, silence is golden. And I like that we listen. My problem, and I think I still have it once in a while, is I don't listen to the entire thing and I jump to conclusions. So when you present something, it's okay if it's silence for 20 seconds, 15 seconds. People are thinking about what you just presented to them.
Yeah.
And then they're thinking,
no, go ahead. I didn't mean, see, I'm talking over you. I'm sorry.
And then they're thinking, how can we incorporate this idea back at my hotel? Yeah. Right. So that silence, I think, gives them an opportunity to think about how this idea can be formatted or put into their hotel as far as operations or whatever. And I feel like that's when you have people thinking, and then you can even ask. I always ask, hey, what's everyone thinking? Does anyone like this so far? Has anybody found at least one idea useful? And everyone's nodding their head. And I'm like, show of hands, how many people at least wrote down one idea? Because I tell this to my kids when I drop them off at school, guys, learn one thing today. That's it. Don't learn 100 things. Learn one thing. And I always say this when I'm dropping my kids off. I say, learn one thing, and that's it, and have fun, right? And so that I like that you say that, silence, because plenty of times we're like, let's just move on to the next thing. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's move on to the next thing. And all of a sudden they forgot everything, and now they're confused and they're like, well, you went too fast. So slow it down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 5 seconds is the amount of time we should minimally wait after asking a question. Now, let's just do this with your audience. Let's look at 5 seconds, okay? Go. That seems like an eternity, doesn't it? Most of us wait about a second and then go on. But just giving yourself some space and giving them the space is so important when it comes to asking questions and letting that silence sit there with them so they can process that information.
Yeah, and Paula says silence is scary, and definitely scary when you're not used to it and you haven't put it in your head that it is okay that there's silence because people are thinking about it. So if you can think, and it's a mindset, like let everybody think and then move on, right? Instead of judging yourself like you don't have enough to say. I think it's powerful. I think I put that in my head, like it's okay if there's silence. Like Jones, you want to have a staring contest right now? And that's it.
Sure.
Okay. You won.
We're wasting their time, Rupesh. We're wasting their time.
No, but it's okay, right? And so that's
it's okay.
That's another mindset that I've had to kind of overcome myself, and that's a tip that for everybody, that let them think about it and then ask questions. All right, so we've gone through the 5 things. Actually, we have one more. I know you have the practice part of it that I always forget to do, and then last night before the event or before the thing, I'm like, let me start practicing what I'm going to talk about, and let me go through it all. So what do you mean by practice? What does that mean?
We've talked about this already. Sarah mentioned, someone we were talking a little bit earlier. It is all about the rehearsing, the practicing, the going through the technology, the going through the points, looking at your outline. Let me tell you a great technology tool that I have found. It's an app that I use. It's called ORAI. It's ORAI. I don't know how you pronounce that, but it's ORAI. It's a public speaking app. And what I love about this is that you can use it and you can record yourself. It will tell you how fast you talked, with what level of energy you talked, and it will also tell you how many filler words that you had. So, for example, you want to be at around 120 to 150. You can practice your presentation, see if you're bumping 180 or 200, or if you're at about 100. It'll tell you whether you are monotonous with your voice. It'll help you with your filler words. It's a great tool. When I'm teaching public speaking to college students or other groups, I always say, go get that app or at least one like it, because it will really help you practice the word side of things. Beyond that, just as you said a moment ago, get in front of a mirror, get in front of your computer screen, see what happens when you're saying certain things, see when you notice yourself not looking as confident about what you're saying, because that's probably a cue that you need to learn the material more. Maybe you need to drop it, or maybe you need to deliver it another way that you could be more confident with it. But it's a great tool. But just practicing, and then use any conversation to practice. You mentioned about pausing, in content. If you're one of those people who tends to talk over people, whatnot, practice taking 3 seconds. When somebody says something and you so desperately want to respond,
that's me.
1, 2, 3, or use a filler word like interesting. Tell me more about that. Instead of telling them what you want to know, stop and say, tell me more about what you just said. Practice the listening piece of that. There's just so many ways we can practice good presentation skills in everyday conversation.
So you're saying everyday conversations. Sure. That's what you do. I'm just saying that's what you say. Yes. So I've learned a technique where you can repeat the latter part of that sentence and make them show them that you're engaging with them by just repeating like what I just said, like the last part of what you said. That way the conversation keeps going. And I feel like a lot of times if you're like, oh yeah, that's good, instead of repeating what they just said, I think that's building a lot of trust too and rapport with that person that you're talking to, if it's just one person or the entire audience.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying, is it helps build trust with the audience. I mean, there's so many ways that we can practice those kinds of skills that even when we're on a stage or if we're in a small group, we can, use them better. By instead of trying to say, oh, great point, we can say, that's fascinating. Tell me more about what causes you to say that. And then they give some great answer that you would have missed had you thought, oh, I've got to comment on that and be the one to say blah, 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 blah. No, you don't. Let them be the rock star. And then you get to be the one who looks like the person that you are that wanted to serve them.
Yeah, definitely. I think these are great tips. And all right, so we're talking about kind of judging ourselves too, because that's what it's all about. That's why we're scared. We're judging our own selves. How do we overcome that part of it?
Yeah, that's probably the hardest thing to do. And even in my years, I still find myself really coming down on myself sometimes before I go on stage or even engage in conversation. Do I really have anything to offer them? And I think that's where we really have to, if we've done a good job understanding the audience and we've reminded ourselves of why we're there, how will their life be better after my presentation is over? How can I say something to them that will help them, be more successful or, have a better family environment? What is it that I could say that would, help them with some of their challenges they're facing? Always keeping in the mindset of I'm serving them. It's not about me. It's about me serving them and giving them something of value to help them live a better life. As long as I keep that in the forefront for me, then I go, I got a job here. Isn't it exciting? And then if I take the pressure off myself by saying, I don't have to have all the answers. I have to know how to get the answers out of the group and get them sharing with each other. And when all that begins to happen, then you think back to those experiences and you go, yeah, that's how I need to do it next time versus, oh, I got to have all the answers. No, you don't.
Yeah. And no one has all the answers.
No.
Yeah. I think that's what I had to overcome myself when I'm like, well, I don't like the way I sound. because I used to record myself and then listen to it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, ah, I sound horrible. Or like I'm balding, or I'm doing this. I didn't get a haircut. My shirt's not right. I sound like I'm sick. I'm tired. Like all of those things are running inside my head,
Yeah.
and it's only me. Nobody else is thinking. Guys, are you thinking what I just said? All those things I just said. Like, are you thinking those things about me? And so I had to overcome all those Jones where I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter. You're providing one topic, one value, one piece of thing that could change someone's life. And you've given us like 30 of these things that we could go back right now and be more confident, which is like the biggest mindset too. When we're presenting anything, doesn't you could be talking to your kids about something, and if you present it properly with the right, like we were talking about, with the right steps, I think you can have them be part of the conversation and help them understand what you're talking about instead of just talking and whatever. So I like that you have like this mindset of it and this process.
Well, thank you. And you're right. That's the beautiful part that I've learned is that the process works where it's 1,000 people or one. I'm getting ready to talk. If I'm getting ready to talk to my 16-year-old daughter about something that's pretty important. First of all, I need to ask myself, what's her day been like? What's going on in her world? Secondly, I have to sit down beside her. I got to make it easier for her to listen to me. I got to put the phone away, get in an environment where she can listen and I can listen to her, and then I've got to make sure that I don't overload her. It's the rule of 3. It's giving just a couple key ideas. Then I got to make sure that I'm okay with silence with her. I ask a question and then wait. And then finally, that's, you say practice. Well, you get chances real often with kids to practice. And then sometimes to get the feedback, and even whether it's 1,000 people or one, how did that land with you today? When I shared that story, if you're having lunch with your friends and you got a story you might be going to plan to use for an upcoming presentation, how'd that story land with you? Did it mean anything to you? How can I make it better? There's all kinds of ways we can get feedback in those informal environments that we can then use when we're actually on stage or in that more formal presentation.
Yeah. And, all of these tips can help you become a speaker. If you really wanted to get yourself out there, you could be a speaker too, right? It's not just Jones is the only person in the world that's speaking. No, there's millions of people that are passionate about what they talk about, what they want to do. And that could be you, right? So this is an opportunity for everybody that you have an opportunity to speak in front of a group. It might be at your church, might be at a local organization, might be at a volunteer place where you're teaching them something about hospitality. I was nervous for 3 years in a row. I did my kids' career days. I think it was in 3rd grade for them. And every year I would bring in and I would go all out because I wanted to make sure my kids were like, oh my God, my dad did this for me. And they still remember it, and I would go in and make like bunny animals out of towels. And I would show them like how to make a breakfast with the waffle machine and all that stuff. But I was nervous in front of 3rd graders, right? So it's not just being nervous in front of adults, but it's everybody. And so it's that mindset of being confident in yourself at the end of the day and going beyond what you're thinking about and overcoming all those things.
Yes, absolutely. Just you're there to serve them. And how can you best serve them and get into an environment where they know you're for real, that they know you care about them. And when you can create that kind of environment, they'll overlook poor presentation skills. They'll overlook too much content if they know that, as you said earlier, that you're authentic and you genuinely care about seeing them get to a better place.
Love this. Love this. All right. So Jones, I know we need to do a part 2 because there's a whole other part about presentation and what you should be actually presenting behind on the screen or on a PowerPoint on all those things. And I think you can help with that. So are you down for a part 2 in the future?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would be honored in every way. And it would be great to do that and to use some of the questions that we've got today and those things to build that part 2. So absolutely. I know you asked me on screen, so I can't say no to you.
You could.
I'm kidding. Rupesh. I'd be honored to help out any way I can.
Jones Loflin, this has been amazing. Guys, if you want to connect with Jones, please find him on here on LinkedIn. He's also on Instagram. Are there any other social media sites that you're on?
Actually, yeah, I'm on Facebook as W. Jones Loflin, but you can find me there. Let's start with LinkedIn, though. I love LinkedIn. I love that. The place to start. My website is jonesloflin.com. That's where you could jumping off point for my products and services. But let's start with LinkedIn. And again, don't forget, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll get you this PDF that kind of summarizes our presentation today of what we talked about.
Jones, we got to pick we got to pick a winner. But before we pick a winner, can people hire you to help them become a better presenter as far as I got a thing coming up and I need some help and I need some coaching? Do you do those kind of things too?
I do. And you say hire. One of the things that I've always done in my business is I always give a first consultation free. So if you've got an upcoming, event where you're planning to speak or something reach out to me, no charge. I do coaching around presentation, time management, lots of things. But the first time, let's get on the phone, have a great conversation. Let's figure out how we can get you ready for that next piece. Because I never want the financial side to be a stumbling block to somebody getting the help they need to take that next step. So absolutely would love the opportunity to connect with any of you who've got those types of things going on. And then if that works out well, sure, we can talk about other options long term, but let's get you the help you need right now to succeed.
Guys, this has been amazing. If you've loved this episode, please hit the like button, right? And comment. Thank Jones for being on the show. Guys, the website is jonesloflin.com. And Jones, let's pick a winner. I've been watching and reading the comments as you've been sharing. And I think the winner, and I think most of you guys can agree, it is Maggie Moran. And she's
I was going to say that. Yeah, I've been focusing on the camera because I wanted people to know I was with them, and I haven't looked. But yes, Maggie's name has been the one I've consistently seen show up. So I agree with you.
Yeah, she says thank you, Jones. But guys, please thank everybody. Please thank Maggie for her comments and being engaging here on the show. Guys, again, next week we're giving away a $50 Amazon gift card. Congratulations, Maggie, for winning. Please send me a direct message and I'll tell you how you can get the this Amazon gift card. Jones, it's been a pleasure. I loved everything you said. We got to have you on for our part 2. Let's talk about it. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Well, thank you, Rupesh, and thank you for what you're doing to help all of us be better. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Jones. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, what did you think about that episode? I loved it. I wrote down a few things, but guess what? I'm going to go back to Jones and I'm going to get that show notes on the 5 things that we talked about and get that PDF. So guys, if you want that PDF, I'm going to get it myself. I'm going to send him a direct message here on LinkedIn and request it. And I guess he'll send it through email or attach it through the messenger. If you liked this conversation, please hit the like button and let me know. And guys, you have to please, let me post this up right now. Please click on this link right here to support our sponsor for the show. And it is spurwork.com/hospitality live. They're the ones that make this show happen. So please hit the button right there and get more information on how you can improve and save money on your payroll right now. They integrate with the most popular payroll systems, including hotel effectiveness that we use at our hotels, and they tie right in. So they're a PEO, they are affordable and they can get the job done without any of the paperwork, which is driving me crazy when people are printing out paperwork to sign up for new hire packets and all of those things. Guys, get rid of paper, get your entire team on the spurwork.com app and learn more how you can automate this entire system without going back and forth through paperwork and scanning and all those things. Hit up spurwork.com/hospitality live. And thank you so much. Please support them. And guys, I will see you next week on the show where we have somebody amazing back on to share more ideas, inspire all of us, and help keep us growing and going as we get through this. We all will get through this. Guys, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you next week.